Have you ever felt the crushing weight of a destiny you cannot reach, a profound power locked deep within you, yet you remain chained to a version of yourself that feels small, fragile, and inexplicably weak? Do you ever look in the mirror and see not your true self, but a stranger forged in the fires of others' expectations? A mask you've worn for so long, it has begun to feel like your own skin. If this message resonates deep within your soul, know that you are not alone on this path of awakening. This is a sign that your higher self is calling you to shatter the illusion. Let the world know you feel this pull by sharing your story below, and join a tribe of souls who understand that true transformation begins with a sacred act of betrayal. Understand this divine truth, a secret whispered only to those ready to hear it. You will not lose because you are fundamentally weak. You will lose. You will falter. You will remain stagnant because you are fiercely, tragically loyal to a version of yourself that was never, ever designed to win. That person you cling to, the one you defend and protect, was meticulously built for survival, not for sovereignty. He was engineered to be liked, to seek approval, to play the game by a set of rules that the truly powerful never, ever follow. He was built to navigate the world by shrinking, by being agreeable, by obeying the silent contracts of a society that fears genuine power. This version of you was a masterpiece of compromise, a carefully constructed vessel designed to endure the storm by staying close to the shore, never daring to conquer the vast open ocean of your true potential. He was built to survive, but you were born to reign. Do you truly want power? Do you yearn for the frequency of command, the vibration of unshakable influence? Then you must first understand the battlefield, and the battlefield is not outside of you. Your first and most formidable enemy is not the critic, not the competitor, not the world that misunderstands you. Your greatest adversary is that lingering, whispering part of you that still begs for comfort, that still desperately clings to the illusion of moral clarity in a world of shadows and light. It is the part of you that still hopes, with a child's innocence, to achieve monumental success without making the ultimate sacrifice. It's the voice that tells you that you can have the crown without the crucifixion, that you can reach the summit without the treacherous climb. It is the part of you that fears shedding your old skin, terrified of who you might become without it. But who are you, right now, in this very moment? The person you believe yourself to be was not born from the stardust of your soul's true essence. He was shaped by fear. He was molded by doubt. He was painstakingly sculpted by the desperate, insatiable need to be accepted, to belong, to be seen as good, in the eyes of those who never even understood their own true nature. This self, this construct, this beautiful, fragile prison you call you, is not strong enough to carry the weight of the crown you secretly, deeply desire. That version of you is an anchor, not a ship. And that version of you must be lovingly, ruthlessly, and completely annihilated. Machiavelli, a master of the earthly dance of power, understood a brutal, universal law that transcends politics and speaks to the very core of spiritual evolution. Power does not politely ask if you are ready. It does not wait for your permission. It is a divine, impersonal force that demands you become ready. And how do you become ready? You become ready by systematically, purposefully destroying every single thing that is holding you back. Every belief, every habit, every relationship, every loyalty that keeps you tethered to the familiar shores of your own limitation. This profound journey, this sacred alchemy, begins with an act that will feel like the ultimate betrayal. Not the betrayal of others, but the betrayal of the small self you have mistaken for your identity. This is not a message of gentle self-help. This is not about adding another layer of paint to a crumbling facade. This is a call to sacred, purposeful self-destruction. This is the alchemy of the soul. Because to gain true power, to command respect not through appeasement but through presence, to be feared not for cruelty but for your unwavering alignment with truth, to finally rise above the deafening noise of the mundane world, you must be willing to kill who you think you are. Not because that person is evil, but because you are finally strong enough to evolve beyond them. And until that old, comfortable, predictable version of you dies a true death, You will never rule anything, least of all the magnificent kingdom that lies dormant within your own life. They told you, didn't they? They whispered the great, comforting lie. Just be yourself. They preached that authenticity is the highest virtue, that if you just stay true to who you are, the right people will find you, the right doors will open, and the universe will eventually reward you for your unwavering integrity. It's a beautiful story, a lullaby for the soul that is afraid to awaken. But what if that is the most insidious lie of all? What if that very advice is the gilded cage that is keeping you small, predictable, and powerless? What if being yourself is just a prettier, more palatable way of saying, stay exactly where you are, where we are comfortable with you being? Here is the truth that no one wants to admit, the forbidden knowledge that separates the masters from the masses. Who you are right now is not sacred. It is not some divine, unchangeable essence carved into the stone of eternity. It is a collection of habits you inherited, fears you absorbed, past experiences that left their scars, and wounds you learned to call your personality. It is a tapestry of approval-seeking behaviors and survival tactics, shaped by people, parents, teachers, friends who did not even know who they were. They were passing down their own programming, their own limitations, their own fears, and you, in your innocence, accepted it as your identity. The version of you that you are being so loyal to, the one you are afraid to betray, was built for acceptance, not for power. It was built to be liked, not to be feared. It was built to belong, even if that meant staying forever small. And so you became obedient, a loyal servant to an identity that was never yours to begin with. You told yourself, I just need to be real. You repeated the mantra, I just need to stay true to myself. But deep down, you have started to feel it, haven't you? That quiet, gnawing realization that who you are is no longer working. It's not getting you the life you dream of, the respect you deserve, the control you crave. It's not leading you to your destiny. And that, right there, is where the holy war begins. Because a part of you, your higher self, your divine essence, is desperately clawing its way to the surface. It wants to evolve. It demands to become something sharper, more commanding, more dangerously aligned with its true purpose. But another part of you, the ego, the conditioned self, whispers in your ear with the soothing voice of a liar. Don't change, it says. Don't betray yourself. Stay safe. Stay known. It presents this loyalty as a virtue, as if your current self is a dear friend worth saving at all costs. But what if that self is not your friend? What if that self is the jailer? What if your loyalty to that old version of you is the very chain that is keeping you from becoming the person you were divinely meant to be? This is the first and most uncomfortable truth of power. To rise, you must betray the person you have been, not out of self-hate, but out of a crystal-clear, radical clarity. You are not a fixed identity, a finished statue in a museum. You are a strategy. You are a weapon in progress. And like any great weapon, you must be reforged in fire, not wrapped in the suffocating comfort of the familiar. You must burn the old scripts, the narratives that told you to stay soft, to stay humble, to stay nice. Because being loyal to your past self does not make you strong. It only makes you predictable. And in a world ruled by the currents of power, predictability is the ultimate weakness. The most dangerous lie in the world is this, that you owe something to the person you used to be. You don't. You owe that person nothing. Not your time, not your loyalty, and certainly not your future. That version of you is a ghost, a memory, and that ghost cannot take you where your soul needs to go. So stop trying to save him. Stop trying to negotiate with him. Start preparing to kill him. The version of you that you were loyal to, the one you call your authentic self, did not come from truth. He came from repetition. You were not born as you are. You were programmed. Programmed by parents who, perhaps with the best intentions, rewarded silence over strength. Programmed by teachers who praised obedience, not originality. Programmed by a culture that relentlessly told you that fitting in was survival and standing out was arrogance. Every time you were punished for speaking your mind, A piece of your true power disappeared. Every time you were told to be nice, to sit still, to not cause problems, you buried something potent and powerful deep inside you. Until, eventually, the real you became the shadow, and the mask became the identity. You started to confuse your mask with your character, your politeness with morality, your shame with humility. And before you even knew what you were truly capable of, the world had already decided for you. So you became the good one, the peacemaker, the humble one, the selfless one, the invisible one. You were raised to be agreeable, not dangerous, tame, not terrifying, predictable, not powerful. And that is the great lie, that your current self is you, that it is natural, noble, true. It is not. It is a survival strategy dressed up as a personality. Machiavelli understood this better than most. He did not believe people were born evil. He believed they were born moldable. He knew that the ones who gain power are not those who stay true to who they are, but those who relentlessly reshape who they are to meet the demands of the moment. This is where the real shadow work begins. Not with gentle healing, not with easy forgiveness, but with admitting the profound lie. Admitting that much of what you call authenticity is just trauma you have decorated. Masks you have worn for so long, they have started to feel like skin. But they are not your skin, they are armor. And armor is for war, not for identity. If you want to rise, if you want real control, you do not start by chasing your dreams. You start by interrogating your reflection. Who built you? What shaped you? And more importantly, what are you still carrying that was never truly yours? Because until you answer that, until you expose the lie you have called a self, you will keep fighting your battles using weapons designed by people who never wanted you to win in the first place. This is not personal growth, it is psychological warfare. And the first strike is this: the old you was not born, he was programmed. And the one who programmed him did not care about your power, they cared about your compliance. If you have ever wondered why the good so often fall and the ruthless so often rise, Machiavelli answered that question 500 years ago, and most people are still not ready to hear it. His truth was not elegant. It was not poetic, it was brutal, and it was accurate. Machiavelli did not believe in virtue for virtue's sake. He believed in effectiveness, not what feels right, but what works. He was not interested in how good your heart was. He was interested in results, outcomes, leverage, impact. And that is the first rule of power he forced the world to confront. The world does not reward your intentions, it rewards your outcomes. You can mean well and still lose. You can be morally right and still be irrelevant. You can be true to yourself and still be invisible. Because power does not care who you are, it only cares what you can control. You think you are playing a game of fairness, but Machiavelli knew this is a game of force, strategy, and perception. So while you are busy trying to be understood, the powerful are calculating how to be obeyed. While you are trying to be liked, they are positioning themselves to be feared. While you are protecting your integrity, they are reshaping their image to bend the world in their direction. And yes, it will feel like death, because in many ways, it is. You are not just shedding an old version of yourself. You are laying it to rest with no intention of resurrection. And that is where most people stop. They feel the heat, they smell the smoke, and they run back into their comfort, back to the predictable, back to the self that fits the world's expectations. But you are here for something more. You came to bury the illusion and walk out of the fire, reborn like the phoenix. Not because it is a beautiful myth, but because it is the only way forward. Destruction first, then flight. Rebirth does not come with gentle winds. It comes with clarity. And clarity does not comfort you. It confronts you. It shows you the lies you have lived inside. It makes you stand at the grave of your former self and decide, am I here to evolve, or am I still trying to keep a corpse alive? Because let's be honest, half of your suffering is not from life. It is from holding on to a version of yourself that no longer exists. And when you finally let go, when you allow that old identity to collapse, something strange happens. You stop needing permission. You stop asking who you are allowed to be. And you start becoming exactly what the moment demands. That is the gift of rebirth. Not happiness, not ease, but power. The power to choose yourself without apology, without hesitation, without dragging the past behind you like a chain. To kill yourself spiritually is to say, I am done being who I was told to be. I am becoming what I decide. No more confusion, no more pretending, no more playing small in the name of being good. The flames were not sent to destroy you, they were sent to free you. So burn, and when the ashes settle, do not go looking for who you were. Start building who you were never allowed to be. We talk about power like it is something you are born with, but that is a myth, and a dangerous one. Because the men who shaped history were not born extraordinary. They became extraordinary by killing the version of themselves that was not. Take Steve Jobs. The world remembers the black turtleneck, the stage presence, the visionary. But before that, he was erratic, emotional, unfocused. He was fired from his own company. And in that exile, he did not beg to be understood. He killed the old Steve Jobs, the idealistic rebel, and built a cold, sharp, relentless force of innovation. When he returned to Apple, he was not the same man. He was hated by many, feared by most, but respected because he delivered. He let the old self die so the empire could rise. Or look at Elon Musk. You think the man tweeting memes is the full story? Behind the chaos is someone who has abandoned comfort again and again, betting entire fortunes, destroying personal reputations, working 18-hour days until his body collapses. He does not care if he is liked. He does not care if he is understood. He is operating on the edge of reinvention, constantly burning versions of himself that no longer serve the mission. This is the law of power. You or the throne, not both. And the longer you try to carry the old version of you into the new world you want to create, the more resistance you will feel. The more the world will remind you that you have not paid the price, because you have not made the trade. The trade is this: kill the man who wants to be understood, and become the one who wants to be obeyed. Kill the one who wants comfort, and become the one who wants control. Kill the one who plays fair, and become the one who plays to win. You or power. It is not a slogan. It is not a quote. It is a command. It is the moment the universe looks at you and says, make your decision, stay where it is safe, or step into the fire. But do not pretend you can do both. The old you wants to be loved. The new you wants to be undeniable. And those two cannot coexist. One must die for the other to rise. So if you want the crown, do not just reach for it. Become the version of you who takes it. Because the throne is real, but so is the price. And only one of you will make it there. You have heard it already. Betray yourself. But how? Not metaphorically, not in theory. I am talking about a practical, step-by-step demolition of the self that has held you captive. This must be done with precision, with divine purpose, and with the cleansing intensity of fire. Because this is not a concept to be pondered, it is a sacred ritual to be performed. And all true rituals require a sacrifice. So here it is, the first step on the path to your anointing. Step 1. You must kill the ego that is keeping you soft. Understand this. Your ego is not your confidence. It is your attachment. It is your desperate, white-knuckled attachment to being right, to being safe, to being admired. It is the insidious voice in your soul that whispers, this isn't who I am. I shouldn't have to change. What if they don't like the new me? But that voice is not your identity. It is your limitation in disguise. It is the gatekeeper of your own prison, and it must be silenced, not with kindness, but with violence. You kill the ego by acting anyway, by choosing power over pride, by doing what the old you would find utterly unrecognizable, and by not flinching for a single moment. Now, for the second step, a step that requires even greater courage. Step 2. You must burn the excuses you have been hiding behind. Listen to them for the last time. I don't have time. I wasn't raised for this. I just want to stay humble. These are not reasons. They are escape routes. Excuses are emotional insurance policies that allow you to fail with a comforting story attached. They are the lullabies you sing to your own sleeping potential. If you truly want to win, you must commit spiritual arson. You must burn every single narrative that explains why you haven't succeeded yet. You are not the story you were handed. You are the story you decide to build. And that story begins by setting fire to the ones that kept you small, silent, and safe. This leads us to the heart of the matter, the step that purifies or consumes. Step 3. You must sacrifice comfort and mourn it like a funeral. Power is allergic to comfort. It cannot coexist in the same space. And yet, comfort is the false god you have worshipped your entire life. Comfort in being liked. Comfort in familiar routines. Comfort in waiting for signs before you dare to act. So here is the unyielding truth. You can have comfort, or you can have transformation. You cannot have both. And yes, giving it up will hurt. You will grieve. You will grieve the old life, the old habits, the old suffocating softness. Let that grief wash through you like a cleansing flood, but do not mistake it for weakness. It is the sound of your rebirth. It is the echo of your chains finally breaking. This is the funeral for your limitations, and from its ashes, your true capacity is born. You must learn to grieve that old identity, not because it was bad, but because it is too small to contain the magnificent destiny that awaits you. There is a reason so few people ever truly rise. It is not because they are incapable. It is not because they are unlucky. It is because they want the throne without being willing to give up who they are. But that is not how this divine game works. Power is not handed to the most deserving. It is seized by the most willing. Willing to change, willing to sacrifice, willing to kill the parts of themselves that stand in the way. Because power is not a reward, it is a territory. And territory is not gifted. It is seized, it is bled for, it is protected by those who already have it. And you do not get to enter that sacred ground unless you are willing to overthrow something or someone, and more often than not, that someone is you. It is your current self, the version of you that is still unsure, still hesitant, still loyal to old values that no longer serve your ascent. He cannot sit on that throne. He was not built for it. The throne demands a being of pure clarity, of unwavering strategy, and of righteous violence. Not the violence of cruelty, but the violence of transformation, the ability to break your own identity in half and rebuild it from the ashes, stronger and more aligned than before. You cannot keep both selves alive. You do not get to be the same person and rule a different life. That is the fundamental law of power. You or the throne, not both. And the longer you try to carry the old version of you into the new world you want to create, the more friction you will feel, the more resistance you will encounter, and the more the universe will remind you, through failure and frustration, that you have not paid the price, you have not made the trade, you have not yet stood at the pyre and chosen which version of you will be consumed so that the other may be born. You are being called to a final transformation. You will know the ritual is complete, not by the applause of the crowd, but by the silence in your own mind. You will know it is done when you stop needing the validation of others, when you stop asking for permission to be who you are. You will know it when you wake up one morning, look into the mirror, and say with a profound sense of peace, "I do not recognize who I was, but I deeply respect who I have become." That is not betrayal. That is evolution. And if no one claps when you cross that sacred threshold, good. Because power does not come with validation, it comes with clarity. It comes with the quiet, unshakable knowing that you have done what 99% of people will never do. You have buried the person who kept you weak and built the one who can finally, truly win. Remember, you do not lose yourself by evolving. You lose the version of you that was never built to win in the first place. You lose the quiet one, the people pleaser, the self-doubter, the dreamer who waited for permission. You lose the soft soul who wanted power, but could not pay the price. That version of you was stitched together by fear, by guilt, by the stories told to you by people who were too scared to rise themselves. You called it your identity, but it was nothing more than a defense mechanism. a costume worn for so long, you mistook it for your skin. And now, right now, it is time to bury it. You cannot become the person who commands a room, who bends reality to their will, who sits on the throne of their own life, until you kill the one who was always afraid to try. There is no ceremony for this. There is no applause. There is only the fire and your decision. And when it is over, when the ashes settle, you will not just be different, you will be dangerous. Not cruel, not cold, but dangerous in your clarity, clear about who you are, what you want, and what you will never, ever tolerate again. This is the truth Machiavelli knew, and it is the one the world still desperately tries to silence. To gain power, you must kill who you really are, not out of malice, but out of clarity, out of necessity, out of the raw, undeniable truth that the old you was built by fear, and the new you must be forged in fire. And if that fire burns, good, let it. Because victory always begins with a funeral.